Hey, welcome
Hello,
everybody.
everyone.
It is the Meeple Service Show, and we
Hello.
are here. It is, I don't know what time it is. Oh, it's 9 o'clock. That's what time it is.
Yeah.
On the East Coast. And on the West Coast, it is 6 o'clock. So I guess, George, you just had dinner? Did you just have dinner?
Soon. After
Oh,
this.
okay. You're getting
I cooked it
after
before.
you're gonna.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. And we are here today with Alex Radcliffe. Alex, how are you doing?
Doing great. I missed the first 15 seconds there because apparently I had you on mute by my end, but managed to figure it out before it's my turn to talk, so we're all good.
We are all good. And where are you located, sir?
Cleveland, Ohio.
Oh, okay. You are on the East Coast as well. So it is 9 o'clock where you are. So we are here today to talk to Alex about a couple things. We are going to get the lowdown on what he did at Gen Con because neither George or I were there. And then we're going to talk about BoardGameCo, which is where we first encountered Alex. And then we're going to do a triple threat and we're going to talk about Gamefound because that's what Alex does now. And there was some big news prior to Gen Con, and it kind of, I don't know, got brushed under the table because of Gen Con, and we'd like to know more about it. And I think people wanted to know more about it. They were like, what is going on? All right, so before we get started on that, Alex, you need to tell us your origin story. Not about origins, but about your origin. What
Origin
is your
story.
origin story? Yes.
The fast origin story, because it can go really in depth, but the shorter, somewhat manageable origin story is I started playing board games, modern board games, I should say, for the first time in around 2011.
Mhm.
End of 2011, beginning of 2012. Don't know exactly, somewhere in that timeline. I had played occasional games before then. I played Carcassonne, Catan. I actually played Game of Thrones, the board game, the original first edition, because my brother loved the books. So the occasional dabble here and there, but I fell into the hobby in 2011. From there, it kind of rapidly accelerated to what most of us do, which we buy a lot of games and we get a lot of games and we don't
It
play
is
all the
true.
games. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
whoa.
Well, no,
Yeah.
we play games. We get more than we ever. But eventually that turned into kind of me. I started trading board games to try to grow my collection, and that, long story short, turned
Oh,
into a
interesting.
business.
I
Yeah.
didn't know
Yeah.
that you did that. Okay,
Oh,
so
so let's
you're
expand it
like,
a little then.
yeah, let's tell me about this.
Yeah.
This is fascinating.
Sure. So what happened is I kind of what okay. So I got to a point where I had around 400 games, of which I had only played around 100. Like I said, I fell hard into the hobby,
Yeah.
and that's when I started feeling guilty about how much I was spending on board games. But so I decided to sell most of those games that I wasn't playing just to go back to a manageable size. But because of the way I had traded games and bought games always on sale or bought ding and den copies, I kind of accidentally realized that when I sold the games, I actually ended up making money. I didn't just get my money back; I got more than I had spent on them. And I suddenly kind of paused and I was like, interesting. I wonder how repeatable this is. And so that turned into me starting to buy games on the cheap to try to trade games. So I stopped buying games for myself and started buying games for the sake of trading into an engine where I can kind of get free games
So
by doing
you
good
made a game
trades.
out of games.
Yeah.
Yes, I played
Hey.
an efficiency engine,
Yeah. Are you
100%.
the type of person who would like, let me take this pen and see if I can trade it for something a little bit bigger, then trade that for something bigger, trade that for and eventually I have a Lamborghini.
In theory, yes. With the help of BGG math trades, you can do that. I don't know if you've ever
Right.
played with math trades. There's some fun things you can do there. But that kind of it was a side hustle of me just building games for free, kind of not for free, but on the cheap. And
Hmm.
then I got to a point where I was like, this is actually a business. Like I think this is a business. And so I turned this like I gone from like 400 down to 100 and back up to 1500. And then I kind of realized, let me just mute this because I have someone calling me. What's it called? Then I kind of realized that I I took those 1,500 games and I decided to basically take a risk. I kind of moved the games to a warehouse in North Carolina, hired a few people to actually run this,
Hmm.
and went from getting free games and making money to suddenly realizing that running a business is a lot harder when you have to pay people and pay taxes and buy equipment. So it kind
You
of
are
went,
correct, sir.
yeah, I went from being able to get free games to working for the next 4 years without making a single cent and just not going into debt as I grew the business, which was decent because at
That's
the end of those four
yeah.
years,
I
I
mean,
actually
that's better
uh,
than most restaurants, right?
Yeah,
that's
especially first 4 years. Yeah.
that's what I told myself for a while. I paid people, people made money. I just wasn't one of those people for 4 years. Then I started making money eventually. It never got to a point where it's like my full job, but I kind
Right.
of like this. I started dabbling in this whole thing. That's where the original name Board Game Co. was all about this business where I bought, sold, and traded games. In 2019, I got to a point where what happened in 2019? In 2019, I decided to start a YouTube channel for the sake of this business. I was like, you know what? Let's try to dabble in social media. So I actually started Instagram first, Did that a little bit. Didn't love it. I wasn't like I did it for the sake of the social media
You did it
opportunities.
for the gram. You literally did
Yes,
the gram for the
yes.
gram.
And I kind of
That's
stopped
hilarious.
doing that at a certain point and started YouTube a little later. And YouTube, I very quickly, like if you look at my first like 5 videos, like you'll see the first one's kind of like a hello everyone, and then after that, in each video, I do a little like, oh, brought to you by BoardGameCo, buy, sell, and trade your way to a better collection. And I stopped doing that after like 5 videos because I realized I didn't care about BoardGameCo. I cared about talking about board games. And
Right.
that's kind of how the YouTube channel started. I kind of very quickly realized that I would rather do this than buy and sell board games. Like something, one of these things I was passionate about, the other one I was just adjacent to the thing I was passionate about.
Right.
And that's how the YouTube channel kind of started. From there, let's see, now we're catching back up. So from there, that was 2019. In
That
2022,
is like COVID times.
yeah. Oh, this
So it's
was
a
this is
little
full
there's a
on.
little time you want. It's a little wibbly
Yeah.
wobbly there, and I get it.
Then in 2022, I decided to quit my day job. That was a combination of the YouTube channel growing, and honestly, it happened a lot earlier than I would have wanted it to, because of the short version of it is we had a toxic salesperson who was very good at his job, but made everyone else not want to work there. And I was
Right.
like the fourth person who decided they don't want to work there at a certain point. And it helped that I had this opportunity. I was like, you know what? We're finally going to gamble. We're going to see what we can do if we go full time. And that was decent. I dove full time into content creation. Money was definitely a lot tighter when I gave up the
Hmm.
whole job and tried to make it work. But I also I made announcements to my community. Patreon definitely like jumped up for that first few months, so it definitely helped cushion things.
Right.
And then around 5 months later, keeping in mind at this point that my previous job, I had been COO of an e-commerce agency. So I was running operations for an e-commerce agency where we built and developed Magento websites. Magento is a e-commerce solution. Uh,
Right.
then combining the fact that I had now been covering crowdfunding for the past 3 years, every single crowdfunding campaign, and I had been COO of an e-commerce company, Marcin, who's CEO of Gamefound, he kind of realized they were looking for a CMO at the time, and he's like, "You kind of uniquely situated where you have like the management experience and you know the industry very well. Like this might be a good opportunity." And that
Sure.
started conversations, and next thing you know, I was working for Gamefound, and that's
Hey.
that's kind of the origin story.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah.
That's a great story. You took a bet on yourself, right? When
Yeah.
you left the other company, and you're like, I'm going to venture out, and it ended up paying dividends in some ways, right? It's like I walked right into another job somehow.
Yeah, it really is one of my favorite YouTube videos. It's by I can't remember the name of the channel offhand, but it's this video called "Is Success Luck or Hard Work?" And the short
Ah,
version of this 20-minute video is he goes through a lot of data points, a lot of industries, and he kind of shows you how you can't prove it across the board, but you can show how most of the time it's really both. You have to put
yeah.
in the work to get to a certain position, but then you kind of need the luck on top of that. Like the
Yes.
fact that I left my job right at the time they were looking for a CMO and had these unique combinations of like these aren't things you can plan for. It's
No.
I put in some degree of work, but then also, I rolled a d20 at the right time.
Yeah, the Chinese have a word for that. It's Christoptunity. I'm kidding. That is not what we say, but that is what they said on The Simpsons, and it makes me laugh every time. But it is kind of like that, right? That you're in the right place at the right time,
Yeah.
but you had that Liam Neeson, certain set of skills
Yes, very much.
where you could take advantage of the opportunities when they presented themselves, or that people notice that about you and they have the opportunity and they said, well, this Alex Radcliffe guy, he's kind of cool, we kind of like him, I think he has the skills we need, let's go talk to him, right? And I think this industry is like that. So if you're out there listening and you're like, I'd like to get in the board game industry, a lot of it is marketing yourself, like really putting yourself out there, doing some work, doing some, like, you have to put the effort in. It's not just that Alex sat there going, please, Gamefound, give me a job. You weren't even looking at
Yeah,
Gamefound,
yeah,
right? They were looking for somebody, and that somebody happened to be Alex Radcliffe shaped, right?
very
Uh,
much.
and that's how you got into that job, and that's really cool. And I think there's more and more stories like that in this particular industry, because it's well, it's like, will you sign this game? It's kind of like pornography. I don't know what pornography is, I can't define it, but I'll know it when I see it, right? And the same thing with game signing. It's like, I don't know what my company wants, but I'll know it when I play it, that I want to publish that game. Now, a lot of companies have become better at that, and really kind of define their niche. but there are still a lot of people who are like that about the games that they buy, they sell, they play. And I think there's a lot of people in the industry who are looking for other people. They have kind of an idea of who they'd like. They just maybe don't know the right person or the right place. So again, like I said, if you're out there watching and you're looking for a job in the industry, it really does pay to go work in the industry in some way, shape, or form. Even if it's not the job that you think you want, it's, you're preparing yourself. You're getting your name out there. Even if it's just like being a booth person at a con. That
Yeah,
is like the one of the best ways to get kind of noticed. It's like, oh,
100%.
that person does great work at the con for us, and they're not a full-time employee. I wonder what would happen if they were a full-time employee. Is it
I
just
know
cons that
several
they
people.
like?
Yeah, several people I know
Exactly.
who got their position in the industry just by going to conventions and then being recognized as like that. That would be a good person to have, not just at conventions.
Yeah, right? I think that's phenomenal. Oh, okay. So, I don't know if this is at all possible, but I hear a little kitty told me that somebody has a new kitten.
I do. I do indeed. Coming home from Gen Con. Well, this is the short version of this. Again, I say short version. Sometimes it's not short version. The attempted short version is, for the longest time, my kids have always wanted a pet. I told them a long time ago, I'm open to a cat. I grew up with a cat. I like cats, and one day we'll see. One day we'll see has been the conversation for the past several years, and then around 6 months ago, we were just kind of walking out of the house at night, and like they had these little kittens that were just outside. Must have been a new litter or something, and they
Oh,
started going up to my kids, and my kids were obsessed. Like they're just like playing with the kittens, and they're having a good time. And
yeah,
suddenly the conversation started becoming, what if one day is now? And we didn't get those kittens. Those were for a variety of reasons. First of all, just don't know where they came from. Also, my
right.
son's allergic to cats, so we can't just have any
Uh,
cat. But that started the process of looking for what my son could deal with. Which there's a few hypoallergenic breeds out there, but the one we ended up going with is a Siberian, which are these big,
I will have to get
fluffy.
that list from
Yeah.
you because I am also highly allergic to
Oh, there's some very
animals.
cool cats out there. The Russian blue, we tried Russian blues, which are very sleek looking. My son
Mm.
didn't react as well because we did little test runs with the
Oh,
hair of them.
interesting.
So my
That's
son
Interesting.
cool.
didn't react as well there. We pivoted to a Siberian where he still had mild allergic reactions, but very, very mild to the point that we think it's manageable and he wants a
Okay.
cat.
All
And
right.
so we reached out to a breeder. It's actually kind of this unintentionally worked out around conventions for me. This like it's my conventions kind of lined up nicely because the Siberians, there's this particular breeder we were looking at. They have a few locations all in distance. One of the
Hmm.
locations is in I want to say Columbus or whatever, close to Columbus. And so timing wise, it kind of worked out that we visited. I took my kids to Origins for the last day of Origins, and then timing wise, we visited the breeder in Columbus so that he could do the
Nice.
test run. And then they
Oh,
reached out and said, "Hey, are your cats ready? Can you pick them up August 5th?"
orders up.
Yes,
Ding.
sort of. That's what it was. It's really you really go on a waiting list and they say, okay, great. This whole process. They don't just say your cat's ready. Like they send you pictures, you choose all those
Oh,
things. So like we passed up on the first one because my daughter wanted a different color. We said yes to the second one, and then they say basically, okay, can you pick up the cat in Indianapolis on August 5th at our other breeder? And I was like,
what?
can I do August 4th because I'll be coming home from Gen Con that day and it saves me a 5 hour trip. So
Yeah.
I basically on the way home from Gen Con, I came home with a bunch of board games and picked up a cat on the way home. On the way home,
Nice. So basically, what you're saying is the cat is a write-off,
it should be. It should be. I mean, he'll be in videos here and there, so for sure.
right?
No, well, yeah,
So
I
there
mean,
you go.
prop.
Yeah.
Is the cat anywhere near that we can like look at
So
this said
I mean,
cat?
if you want to give me a minute and a half, I can go upstairs and get him.
Yes, I
Um,
would love to
Yeah,
give
for
you a
her,
minute and a half
yes,
to
I think
cool.
for a
get for a
cat, that's
cat.
fine.
Yes,
I'll be right
you,
back. You guys
George
hang
and I
tight.
will.
This is the
George
internet,
and I will
sir.
vamp. We'll
Yeah.
vamp while you go get said cat. So, George, you have cats too, correct?
I have one cat, yes, my
Yes.
cat Loki,
Yes.
who always seems just about to be off camera, but today is asleep on my bed.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I always see Loki on the camera. I don't know.
Yeah, it just,
Today, not
yeah,
today, not
no,
today.
of course
He's
not.
just not.
When it would be
No.
appropriate and on topic.
Right?
He knows. He
Yeah.
knows.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about cats for me is that I'm just so allergic. But if I could find a cat, I think cats are cool because I'm like a cat, right? I'm very like aloof and oh my gosh.
Oh, here we go.
So this guy is
Ah,
this is
Wow.
Calcifer.
Calcifer.
Okay.
Very, very,
Yeah.
very Howl's Moving Castle of you.
Yes,
Love it.
exactly.
Ooh.
My
Nice.
daughter, we chose Ember at first. I believe I heard you say Loki was your cat's name.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Loki
And
was on our
who is
short list.
Ginger?
Yeah. So Loki was on our short list. One of my kids didn't like Loki. The rest loved it. So we kind of debated, and then we chose Ember, and then they all liked that, and then someone suggested Calcifer, and they all liked that more. This is actually his first time in the basement because I don't know how much you know about kittens, but you kind of
I
want to
don't.
slowly expose
Yeah.
them to spaces.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
Why's that?
so because they get overwhelmed with too much new stuff at
Mm.
once. In fact,
Sure.
he may turn off the stream. We'll see what happens now. But yeah, literally, I was on a call this morning and he hung up on the call for me. But yeah, so they kind of like too much is overwhelming. So at first he was in a room for the first day, then he spread it out to the to 2 rooms, then the whole main floor, and this is his first time in the basement. So he's gonna go exploring right now.
I don't know if you know, but Office Dog, Office Dog, Brian
Yes, yes.
Barmueller and Luke and everybody. The name Office Dog comes from this exact experience of, being on video calls and everybody shows off their pets.
That's great.
So that's where Office Dog comes from.
Yeah.
Lovely,
My
lovely,
favorite
lovely.
company name, always love this one, is Thunderworks Games?
Yep.
So the reason, this is like my favorite story about a company's name. The reason it's called Thunderworks is because Kirk, who's the owner,
Yeah.
his son used to call fireworks Thunderworks.
Oh, that's
Aw.
awesome. That is great.
I never got over that.
I will never not call them Thunderworks from now
Yeah.
on. That is great. Cool. So we have your origin story. We've got a look at Calcifer, which I think is probably the highlight of the show.
Yeah.
But let's talk about that old Gen Con thing. How was it this year? George and I weren't there for the first time first time in like 5 or 10 years.
Oh wow.
But it's a little bit political. But how was it? I saw the pictures, and it was like the same amount of people, so it
Give
didn't
or take.
stop lots of people from coming.
Yeah.
But how was the vibe?
So vibe overall is pretty good. I know it was sold out, so I assume that means the same number of people as last year.
Yeah, 60,
But I will
70,
say
yeah.
it felt like it was 5% less. I remember that is purely it was busy the entire time. But the past few years, there's always been moments where I just felt like literally there were moments where I wanted to get out in the hall because it was too crammed.
Too
That
bad.
never
Yeah,
happened
too
to me.
much.
So this year that
Okay.
didn't happen. So, but they sold out. So maybe it's just ebbs and flows. I don't know. But yeah. But
Was there
past that,
anybody noticeably missing from
So,
the floor? that you-
selfishly, honestly, the biggest thing is most of my non-American friends, I would say.
Yeah.
There were definitely some people there, but a lot of people who I'm used to seeing at these shows, including some American friends. But I'd say it was noticeable how frequently I was like, oh, nope, and then like
Mm.
they're all people, like a lot of people from Canada, some people from other places as well, and definitely. And I don't think you can't go, not by a long shot, but I do think that especially when you're making decisions, it's just one more reason to consider not going.
Right.
Coming
If
here.
you have a budget for things like, why am I
Yeah.
going to spend money on someplace that might not let me come home, or something like that?
100%.
Mm.
100%.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I was talking to the op.
Yeah. And that's
About-
and a few publishers, and the op was the most noticeable to me.
Yeah, because the op usually has like a double wide. It sounds like they live in a trailer. They have usually like a 2-size spot
Yeah.
of booth space, which is like a 20 by 40 ish.
Yeah.
And they usually build it vertically. So they usually
Yes.
have like a really cool setup. Like last year, it was like beach cabanas, right? For the surfs up.
Yeah.
And we would take meetings up on the top floor and look down on everybody. It was super cool.
Yep.
But this year, they're like, nope, we're not going. And they've had to make some hard decisions because of financial reasons, actually. Political financial things, right, that are
Yep.
happening with the tariffs and whatnot, that make it very hard for some companies to put money into this, which is for some companies like bread and butter, and for other companies it's more like this is marketing for us, and for some companies it's like, I don't know if we're going to get anything out of this. And for a company like the size of the op, it's interesting that they didn't go. But then it's also, and they're American, right? So it is like, okay, what happened?
I guess if you're gonna drop
Yeah.
5 or 6 digits on marketing, you have to decide whether putting it all into a few days or spread out over the year through other channels makes more sense. I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
in their heads, but like
No.
it would certainly be in my head if I was considering it.
Well,
But that is the thing, right? Yeah.
One thing someone pointed out to me, and again, this is all conjecture. There's no knowledge here, but that something I could factor into is not just marketing expense, but if they made any decisions around their stock, meaning if they pushed off print runs because of X, Y, and Z, or if they decided to adjust, like, or even just uncertainty. If they made any decisions around their production, it might not even be so much a question of purely marketing. It might be like, hey, we were planning on releasing these 3 games by Gen Con, and we're not. So why bother?
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, or couldn't get it in, or we didn't
Mm.
have it, you didn't land in time, or we couldn't
Yeah.
price it at the right price point for something like this. So there are a lot of questions to be asked, and I think that is the big thing with the American companies right now, and even companies that import into America. So Off the Page Games, for example, is a Canadian company, but we warehouse in America. And so when games went into America, we got hit with like a $26,000 tariff bill,
It's insane.
right? Which is, that's eating out of the profit, right? And it isn't that like everybody has to do this, because if you don't warehouse in America, you're not getting stuck with this. But then when you ship into America, then the customers are now wondering why they're getting stuck with this $100 extra bill from, well, border services. Really, that's who it's from. Right?
Yeah.
So
It's
they don't understand why. It's fascinating right now.
Yeah. I found in crowdfunding, I've actually seen that more people than I would expect are very understanding about the stuff,
Mm.
but
Mhm.
in retail, really, really not. I mean, like I've seen, like, even just today, there was a huge thread about like somebody basically saying, hey, if you buy from the store, you're gonna get slapped with a customs charge from FedEx or UPS, and so people are like, well, then I can't buy from that store. And part of that's
Right.
even just the markup. I don't know if I'm familiar with the way FedEx and UPS do things, but normally your like $1 charge suddenly becomes a $20 charge because FedEx
Yes.
throws on an extra fee, which is insulting beyond belief.
Yeah. When a shipper like FedEx or UPS deals with the customs paperwork for you, they're going to charge you
Right.
Yeah.
brokerage fees, right? Which is like anywhere from 12 to $25 depending on what it is. And it's like, otherwise, if you don't pay it at the door when the guy comes, they're like, well, then I can't leave it.
Mm.
You're like,
Yeah.
well, why not? It's not yours. It's mine. I paid for that, but you didn't pay for it to come over the border. Well, you could have let me. So there are options out there if you want to spend the time, and it's really like a convenience charge, right? It really is, because you can go clear it at customs yourself if you want, and it's like your time
Yeah.
and maybe some money if there is a fee, but there's no charge for the paperwork. But when UPS or another carrier does it, they are charging you for the hourly rate of doing the paperwork for you, right? So just watch out. It's going to happen here and there. And now, again, with the tariffs, then lots of stuff, especially because de minimis has been removed entirely,
Yeah.
right? So if you're used to getting stuff in when it's under $800, as of like, I think 5 days from now, that's gone, or it might already be gone. I don't know.
I think it's
I think
already
it's already
gone.
gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking there's something that's happening very shortly, and I think that happened before now. So yes, I think you're correct. Anyways, it's this big kind of kerfuffle.
Yes.
It is
The polite
a
word for it.
change in how business is run, all for the benefit of not the individual taxpayer. How's that?
Not for the businesses. It's not the benefit of the businesses. That's not the benefit of
No.
the people buying the games.
Yeah.
No,
That's
it is not at all. Okay, so Gen Con, what else happened? What are some highlights? What did you think was the best
highlights.
thing?
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. So I don't know if that I have any particular highlights offhand. I'm sure there are that I'm just not thinking of, but I will say I was definitely very happy with the games I came home with. It's always a challenge to figure out which games I want. And also there's exciting on the spot and then there's exciting when you're home with it.
Oh,
And I
interesting.
think, well, because games are games. It's so exciting to have games. But then sometimes you come home and you're like, actually, I have great games. I don't know I picked this up. It was a good
Right?
price. Someone offered it. It looked cool. Like it's just that impulse aspect. I mean, I think that's why, like, a big part of why game stores are able to charge more than online and still make money is there's something fun about being in front of games.
Yeah.
Um,
There
but
it is.
overall, I definitely came home with some that I'm very excited about. I came home with The Hobbit there and back again. It's not out yet. That was a press copy. I
Nice.
came back with a Force Shuffle, the new Force Shuffle Dartmoor that was out
Mm.
and available. Very excited about that one. But there's a bunch that I came. I'd have to like look through my list. But there's a lot of ones that I was really excited to get my hands on, and then really excited to start playing and diving into as soon as I can. So overall, game selection went well. People, again, noticeably absent for a lot of people I know, but outside of that, the people that were there definitely had a fun time, good vibes overall. I would say there's nothing really stood out as a particularly amazing. Oh, I did have actually one good moment. I did. I went to a Lorcana press event where,
Okay.
well, without getting too much into it, my daughter and I play Lorcana. We play it
Yeah.
casually. We enjoy it. We have opened, I think, roughly 4 cases by now, maybe 3.5 cases across the entire like various arcs. We've opened roughly
Yeah.
three and a half
Just a little bit.
cases. We haven't gotten a single what are they called? Not legendary. They're called. Do you know what they're called?
Like mythics
No.
and magic,
Mythic. I think
or
it's called like mythical. Whatever. What's it called? Darn
Oh,
it.
like something that something it would be Disney coded,
It's the
right?
Disney coded, but it's the highest tier in the Lacana system. We haven't
Right.
pulled one enchanted. It's called an enchanted. So we haven't
That
pulled
makes
any
sense.
enchanted yet. And the stats are you're supposed to on average, and this is average, you're supposed to open them once every 4 cases you get an enchanted. That's the stats. And we're at 3.5, and you might be thinking, well, you didn't get to 4 yet. That's not how stats work. Technically, once we get to 50%, our odds are 50-50, and everything above 50%, we should have opened an enchanted. We haven't yet. My daughter's been wanting one
Yeah.
for a while. So I went to this Lacana press event where you don't really get a lot of stuff. It's more about the socializing, interacting. They give you 3 booster packs, and then you kind of trade. It's a little trading quest where you trade cards with each
Oh,
other.
that's fun.
It's meant to encourage
It's like a mixer,
socializing.
right?
Yeah, it's a mixer. It's a Lacana themed mixer. So you got 3 packs, and then I opened my 3 packs, did the trading stuff, and then they kind of went to advanced trading. We have to get harder cards, and people couldn't get the advanced trading to work because they have these required cards trying to get, and there weren't enough. So they kind of gave everyone one extra pack. They're like, okay, we'll give everyone one extra pack because we have the packs, whatever. And I opened that one extra pack and I pulled out my first enchanted ever. So
Oh.
like I immediately took a picture, sent it to my daughter. She was very excited. It's from what's it called, Encanto, which we love, and so
Mhm.
she's very excited about that legendary now, that enchanted that she now has.
So you
Yeah.
couldn't trade that one away. You're like,
Oh
got to
no,
keep it.
no. Well, to be
I'm
fair,
leaving the press event with this intact.
the way the quests work is they don't actually they have specific cards you're looking for, and they wouldn't ask you for an enchanted because it would be very hard to complete the quest because they're so rare.
Right. Yeah. True, true, true. So it's like any enchanteds are yours to keep.
Yes.
The
Well, they
rest of
actually
it,
have it. They say if you
trade
draw an
away.
enchanted, you should like yell out right away, and they'll give you a little like a top loader for it. So I think
oh,
there were
cool.
2 people who
Oh,
drew an
that's so
enchanted.
cool.
That's smart. Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's a great idea, right? Because they want to like recognize the value of it, of
Yeah.
course, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, so you had some good press events. You saw some people that you're missing. You missed some people that weren't there. Gen Con was a Gen Con. So now, are you still doing stuff with Board Game Co?
Very much so.
Right.
BoardGameCo, I still put out like 14, 15 videos a week. I keep up as much as possible. I am debating whether I take off a little of the pressure because he requires a lot of attention, which I anticipated, but I don't know if I anticipated how much.
Right.
But we'll see what happens there. But BoardGameCo, I'm very active in it. I think the problem is whenever I want to take off, I still have things I want to talk about. I still have games I want to cover. So like taking off takes the pressure off of making videos, but it doesn't take the pressure off of getting the things done that I want to get done.
Right.
So I like it. I play games and I turn it into videos and it just keeps me busy. But I
Mhm.
enjoy the process. Nothing new is really going on the Board Game Co side. It's been one of the biggest challenges I have faced personally is I like doing new things, but new things don't rely on your habits. Habits are just the thing you do. You get up, you do this
Mhm.
day in, day out, and trying to come up with new ideas doesn't fit into that mold as well. So it's like so much more effort to do new stuff. And I wish I had more time or imagination to constantly innovate, as opposed to right now I'm just kind of in a pattern.
Yeah, you're kind of doing the do.
Yeah.
So do you do like 2 videos a day roughly?
On average. It's a little more structured. So the way I do it is basically my mental logic is that when I'm doing general content, so I'm doing a top 10 list, that gets 1 video a day max. But
Right.
then there's days of the week, which is usually Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, in which I do like a game review. Now, a
Right.
game review isn't as general. So like if I review, let's pick a game. If I review a Wild Venture right behind me here,
Right.
some people are interested, some people aren't. So whenever I do dedicated game content, I do 3 videos those days, and then the rest of the days I do general content that has wide appeal, and then I do 1 video a day. So because not everyone is interested in a wild venture, there's 3 videos that go up today, and hopefully one is for you.
That's smart.
I
I like that.
I have to ask. You can't possibly edit all these videos on your own.
So I have this magic thing that I love. Yeah, yes, it is. It is all on my own. But what I have this thing is I have
Okay.
this magic foot pedal, and I love it. I couldn't do what I do if I didn't have it. But basically, it's a foot pedal that I turn on the cameras, and when I tap the pedal, it automatically switches between the top shot and the front shot.
Okay.
So it's kind of like streaming with control, but it's just
Yeah,
for
like
a
with an
recorded
Elgato
video.
or something, right?
Yeah, exactly. Elgato foot pedal. And for the most part, I can do a 20-minute review without ever pausing. I'd say like maybe one
Okay.
of every 4 videos I actually have to cut because like I sneezed or I misspoke or something happens, whatever. For the most part, I'm just kind of going for it the whole time. So and I'm editing the entire process as I go. So as I roll the dice, I switch to top shot, and it's instinctive. It's all
Oh,
just
that's
I
very
tap
cool.
my
Oh,
foot.
wow.
So it makes it so that I don't have to do, for the most part, I don't do much editing outside of chopping off the front and the back and then just loading it up.
Right.
Very
That's great
cool.
because
Okay.
that is the hardest part of all this content
Yeah,
creation
that's
stuff is editing, and that's why we do this
100%.
live, right? It's live
Yes.
because I don't want to
it's
edit at
100%
all.
edited. It's perfect every
Always
time.
edited all the time. It is not.
Yeah.
Anybody who's watched this a lot knows that there's technical difficulties and hosts that are like,
That's part of us keeping it real. That's
yeah, yeah.
also intentional.
I think that is very intentional.
My community likes
Cool.
to make fun of me when I go live because there's always something, and then suddenly before you know it, I'm adjusting. There's some things I'm good at, and some things I haven't taken time to figure out. So there's so many like ins and outs of going live where I just kind of do it, and then when something goes wrong, I'm resizing stuff on the go and just like adjusting the audio and saying, "Hey, just hold up, bear with me, guys."
Right. So, BoardGameCo going along
Yep.
swimmingly. Couple videos a day, general versus deep content, and then your other job is Gamefound, where
Yes.
you are. What's your position there, actually?
CMO, Chief Marketing Officer. Although
Okay,
that can
cool.
sometimes be confusing because what it there's different things that go on at GameFound. There are some things you might think are under me that's actually under our main marketing guy who isn't called CMO because it's internal marketing versus marketing for the It's all confusing. My job is to bring
Right.
people to the platform.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So your job as Alex Randolph, Radcliffe, sorry. You
Wait,
imagine
wait,
if you
wait.
were
Why did you
if
say
you were
Alex
Alex
Randolph?
Randolph, because I love Alex Randolph games.
Okay, so hey buddy. So Tom Vassell a long time ago called me Alex Randolph when he introduced me on like a video, and I didn't know who Alex Randolph was at the time, but I found out that he was some game designer.
Yeah, he's one of the one of the first preeminent American game designers. So he is along the same era as um like a little after Sid Saxon kind of era of things. So he did a lot of games for German companies, but he's American, or was American. I think he's passed. But anyways, I collected his games specifically for a while. I kind of get on these kicks where it's like, I like that designer. I'm going to collect all their games. And so Alex Randolph was one of them. And I was thinking about it today. And I said, I'm not going to call him Alex Randolph. I'm not going to. And then I just did. So that's
To
fun.
me, it's funny because it happened a long time ago, and I've never had like my community. Well, there are some people in my community in my Discord who'll still call me Alex Randolph because of that one Dice Tower video.
That's funny. Oh, okay. So at GameFound, your job is to bring people to the platform. And when we talk people, we mean like creators.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
My job is to effectively network with creators, and then show them the data, or try to convince them to come to the platform. With the caveat that I only do that if I think it's the right choice. So, like one thing I made very clear when I took the job, partially biased because my last job had very much a sales pipeline that it was very sales driven, and
Right.
the goal was to sell and then deal with the problems later. And
Yeah.
I was very clear when I took this job that I told Marcin that I said I'd love the opportunity. The two caveats for it is one is I've gotten very used to having my own schedule, so like I'll get the work done, but like I'm gonna be traveling, I'm gonna be doing this, I'll be working at 11 at night, and I'll be sometimes filming a video at 1 o'clock p.m. So like I'm all over the place schedule wise. And the second caveat was I'm not selling people if I don't think they're the right fit. Like I can only
Right.
bring people to the platform if I think that they are the right fit because it's just not a feeling I like otherwise.
I
And
get that.
so yeah, so that's my job is to network the creators, to show them the data, to try to talk about the strengths, the pros of GameFound, all of that stuff, and then if they are the right fit, to bring them on board.
Okay. So let's boil it down for everybody out there. What are the pros of Gamefound?
Ooh, okay. So the pros of Gamefound. There's usually a few different ways I approach this. The first is results. The second is features, and the third is I feel there's a third. I can't remember what the third is. Maybe it's just results and features. Oh, the third is not really a that. Okay, I'm remembering my marketing stuff. Anyways, so the first thing I do is results, which is because I can tell you all about the features we have, and I think we have a lot of features. But if they aren't delivering results, it doesn't really do anyone any favors, unless you prefer features even at the cost of results, which sometimes there are creators who do that. There are creators
Right.
who want specific features regardless of how they got there, whatever. But usually, so I focus first on results generally, and to that end, I have a lot of data that kind of goes through as close to apples comparisons of various campaigns and tries to show you that in general, I think GameFound is delivering those results. This is like a whole call and video on itself,
Yeah.
but I basically have data that compares campaigns, and I usually share the data, not just the data, but the underlying data to creators. I tell them, read into it yourself. Tell me how I'm wrong. If you think I'm wrong, like I think it's compelling data, and it is. Yeah, anyone who watching this, if you want to see it, I can share it to you. I can go over with you. I can watch my cat knock things on the floor right now. Let's take you off here, buddy. Anyways, so yeah, the results are just kind of comparing campaigns as much as close as possible and trying to draw conclusions based off how they did. And again, I've had a lot of data people look at this. I've had people challenge, my interpretation to a small degree, but even when people challenge it, it's usually the usual takeaway is like, well, I don't agree it's X level, but I do agree it looks better for GameFound.
Right.
And again, that's just looking at funding totals and how they do. From there, a big thing is features. Okay, so then what's driving those results? And to that end, GameFound had the advantage of being able to be built from the ground up for what tabletop crowdfunding is.
Mhm.
Kickstarter has been incredible for our industry, but it very much was this giant PDF that you kind of hodgepodge the results you wanted into that. But like you're trying to like build a store, an e-commerce page off of
Yeah.
a giant PDF. And that includes even things like pledge levels. Pledge levels are insane. The concept of how you have add-ons and pledge levels, it built this entire industry of pledge managers. Like pledge
Right.
managers were a concept that was invented because crowdfunding brought the crowd, but it didn't have the tools needed to actually run a like when $40,000 was a top crowdfunding campaign in board games, sure, it worked. When you start getting 500,000, millions, and all that, you need actual features to be able to deliver those results, to deliver those to those backers, to manage
Mhm.
that audience. And so GameFound started as a pledge manager, along with like Backkit, CrowdDocs before that was absorbed, and it was able to deliver the backend tools that crowdfunding needed. And they kind of got to a point one day where they realized, hey, we're delivering the backend tools. What if we rebuilt crowdfunding to avoid all these problems from the get-go, and to really optimize it based off what tabletop crowdfunding is and can be? That was the original pitch and the idea of it, and going back to those results part, that's why I think it has to the large extent achieved that. And it's also
Mhm.
achieved that while being a relatively newer platform, which allows for less technical debt as you try to grow something off of 10 years of who knows what. And don't get me wrong,
Right.
as we continue to grow, that technical debt is going to start accumulating. Where, and for those watching, technical debt is just the idea that the larger something becomes, the harder every change to that becomes, and how well you can incorporate it into that. The more you have to make it work with everything else.
Yes.
Um,
Gamers, just think about adding a new card to Magic the Gathering.
Exactly,
And
100%. That's
everything
a
goes
great
kablooey.
analogy. That's a great analogy. Yeah,
We can
adding a
use
new
that.
card to that's a good. I may well adding a new card to a new system with 20 cards is no big deal. Adding a new card to a system with thousands of cards. That's why these games have things like standard, where you have like the last 2 years, because otherwise it's not manageable.
Mhm.
But anyways, yeah. So that's a lot of the kind of the goal of what it was doing, and that did it through any number of things. The nature of pledges and add-ons are actually built like an e-commerce store, not just like a giant PDF where you click through things. The ability to have an all-in-one platform where you're running it from the get-go to the end. Things like when followers, like if you follow a campaign on Kickstarter, because you have to transfer to the pledge manager, when the campaign's over, if that person didn't back, you've now lost them effectively. Versus on GameFound,
Right.
if I follow a campaign, I could not back it, and you're like, here's production photos, pledge manager closes in 2 weeks, that
Like,
person's still getting
I'm still
updates.
on the list, right?
Yeah. And the
Yeah.
unfollow, like you couldn't follow at any time. It's not against your will. It's just most people don't unfollow because it's easier to delete the email until you're actually interested.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of features that go into the platform, but ultimately I think the main one is results, and then there's also feel. Something I found fascinating is if you follow the gaming audience, the vast majority are, and this is to be clear, this is a hardcore gamers, not necessarily the larger ecosystem of anyone who backs games. But if you go on Facebook groups, if you see any creator asking their community where to launch, they vastly prefer GameFound on average. Every individual is going to be different. There are people who will swear up and down that GameFound doesn't work for them. Totally hear that. But the majority seem to prefer GameFound. Like generally, polls tend to land between like 75 to like 95% of the audiences saying they prefer GameFound. That's not when GameFound's running a poll. That's when a creator saying where should we launch our game. So the
Interesting.
audience seems to prefer it. The results are there, the features are there, and it's constantly innovating. Every 2 weeks it puts out. Like just this morning, I think they put out the newest backer update, which was completely revising the backer dashboard based off of community feedback over the years. In fact, even in the update, everyone's like, "This is much better," but you got rid of the archive feature, and they posted right away. We're like, "There's been a lot of people asking for the archive. It's coming back. Don't worry.
It's
Like
coming
we
back.
hear
Don't
you."
worry.
Like we are very community focused. We listen to what creators want. We listen to what the community wants. Everything goes into a queue. We are primarily a tech company. Like the vast majority of the people on staff are developers who are constantly building this to be the best platform it can be based off of our ideas, creators' ideas, and backers' ideas at any given point.
Right. George, maybe you should go develop for them.
I know that the company's based in Poland. I am moving
yes.
to Prague. You were just north of me, so we can talk later.
I will say
I
if you ever want to, by all means reach out. The one thing I'll say is I do know that tech team wise, they mostly do things you have to live local in Wrocław in Poland. We are an international company. We have people in different countries, states, Canada, America, England. But I would say the tech team so far anything can change, but so far has been exclusively in house.
Which is hilarious because they should be like the most connected electronically.
I don't
but I
have
get
a
it.
good
I
answer.
get it.
No, you're not wrong. My last job, I completely agree. We had our tech team across the whole world, but I don't know necessarily the reason for it. All I know is I have connected people, and yeah, I'm sure they're happy to have conversations at any point. But so far, it's stayed that way.
Oh, Curve Cut asked a question. So,
Yes.
is there an app yet?
There absolutely is an app. This is actually one of the community things that, even as Gamefound was growing and people were very happy with it, there were two big complaints. One we haven't resolved yet. I'm very for resolving it. The other one is the app, the lack of an app for a long time. But that changed. I don't even know how long ago at this point. I want to say maybe Gamma, so maybe 6 months ish ago, maybe
Okay.
earlier. I'd have to double check. But there has
So
been an
like
app for a while
Q1
now.
of this year.
No, we had it already. We have it.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
meaning
yeah,
it's past
Q.
Gamma. Oh, yes,
Yeah,
you're
Q1
correct.
of 2025. Yeah.
Yeah, so the app was eventually it got to a point, and I pushed this internally. There were lots of good reasons why we didn't have an app. Instead, we had a mobile friendly website, but it was one of the, even though there were great reasons from a tech standpoint on our end, it was still one of the most requested things. And I very strongly pushed for the fact that even if we have good reasons for it, we can't keep saying we listen to the audience and then the most requested thing we haven't done yet.
Right.
So there was a push eventually to make it happen, and now there is an app. You feel free to use the app whenever you want.
That is interesting that from a tech standpoint, you're right. I mean, maintaining one thing, a browser friendly, or sorry, a device friendly, mobile friendly app, website is functionally the
depends.
same, right? But I get it that it's not functionally the same for interface and usability, right?
There's a lot you can't access, like basically for security reasons, from hardware, from a website, just like on your computer, that you can do with an app. And yes, there's a lot of overhead in like dealing with Android versus Swift or whatever you're doing on the Mac side. But with things like Flutter and KMP now, it's a lot. I don't know what you're using, but there's a lot more options to write a workable app with a single code base that can be deployed to both platforms. Again, I don't know what you're doing, but like there are these opportunities. So it's but sometimes even if you don't need an app, it's really difficult to convince people that a website's going to do the job.
Well, because there's an app. There's an app for that, isn't
there?
Yes. Well, part of our reasoning was, I believe, and I don't know if this is true, I just remember I've heard this, I don't know where we got it from, but supposedly only like 10% of Kickstarter users use the app. So like, even though a lot of people ask for it, most people don't actually use it, supposedly. So that fed into the decision as well. And again, I don't know if that's true. I just know I heard that. But there were lots of reasons. At the end of the day, it didn't matter. It was the most commonly requested feature, and so we made it happen.
So you wanted to live up to the claim of we listen.
I pushed for internally. I was like, we can't say that we listen to people if we keep responding. There's a good reason why it doesn't exist. Don't worry.
Yeah, unless you explain the reason, I guess. All right, so the elephant in the room before Gen Con was there was an acquisition, and this acquisition was Gamefound bought Indiegogo.
Yes, it did.
Okay, so why?
Why?
What
Excellent
happened?
question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll jump through a few things. So first of all, the biggest thing, especially because I've usually seen two core reactions. The reaction one is that's a natural fit, like that's amazing, excited for what happens next. The other reaction can be the why, and why could be curiosity. Like I don't even know what your why is. Why could be curiosity, or it could be bafflement. And if it's bafflement, sometimes that comes from, well, like, what's the point? Like people don't back games on Indiegogo. Is Indiegogo still even alive or active?
Mhm.
And the answer to that one is people don't back games on Indiegogo, and it's very much alive and active. Indiegogo, there's roughly 38 million users, although that's meaningless. There's 11 million active users. That's much more meaningful. It has traffic-wise, it has millions of unique users every single month, and specifically, and the best part is they don't back board games.
Yes.
Meaning the people who are backing Indiegogo are not backing board games. They're not going to Indiegogo because of a platform that gives you board games. They're going for everything else. The people who are backing specifically for board games are already on Kickstarter or Gamefound. Indiegogo represents an entire pool of users who are the drive-by traffic, basically. We
Right.
want drive-by traffic. The why kind of is a twofold part. We believe that Indiegogo can improve Gamefound by giving it a wider audience that isn't hardcore gamers. As much as the results for campaigns are, again, the data seems to indicate that we're getting the results we want. Nonetheless, if you say to somebody Kickstarter, they will always know what you're talking about. Every once in a while, I'll say Gamefound to somebody, they'll be like, "What's that?" So there's still a pool of people who don't know what Gamefound is, and that represents a lot of drive-by traffic, which Gamefound can benefit from. And then secondly, is that we've always wanted to expand Gamefound outwards. The amount that Gamefound has been able to accomplish in such a reasonably short time from when it
Hmm.
launched, it's like, why would you stop at just board games? And so the question wasn't really an if, it was more of a when. And so when the opportunity presented itself, it was, this feels like a good starting off point. It's always going to be hard to convince people, because internally we always planned on having different sites. We think that there's a strong reason to have a dedicated gaming site, as Gamefound
Right.
is, but we also wanted to have a larger site for the rest of the world and also to benefit from that traffic. And the way we're doing it on the Indiegogo side is Indiegogo is going to remain Indiegogo, Gamefound's going to
Right.
remain Gamefound, but Indiegogo is going to adjust to Gamefound's tech, Gamefound's policies, Gamefound's, both in terms of protecting users, in terms of protecting creators, Gamefound's pricing structure, and then the look and feel of the platform. But then everything on Indiegogo is going to show everything on Indiegogo plus the things on Gamefound. So effectively, if you have a game, if you have the next off the page games, whatever it is, Mind
Yeah.
Management 2.0 comes out. If it's on Gamefound, it will be visible and
Also
discoverable
be
on
visible.
Gamefound, but it'll also be in Indiegogo. So you can have your cake and eat it too, effectively, where you are benefiting from a dedicated tabletop platform while also gaining the discoverability of a larger space. And
Right.
again, all that's great for Gamefound, but it wouldn't be worth it if we didn't think we could make a dent in the crowdfunding space in general. So it's
Right.
the why is both to grow
Okay.
Gamefound to a larger space and to augment the one area where I think Kickstarter does have an advantage over Gamefound, which is the sheer amount of drive-by traffic.
Right. And so this is my question. It was why, as in the reasoning. Like I didn't understand or didn't know, obviously, because
Yeah.
nobody told me, that Indiegogo was still going to exist as Indiegogo. And this makes it like it's almost like a shopping mall versus a store. And so
Yes.
GameFi would be a game store inside a shopping mall. Indiegogo would be the whole mall that
Yep.
has many different things. And that means that you have the opportunity to like say, okay, well, you know what's one really highly specific area? Luggage.
Yep.
People love luggage. I don't know. I just actually bought a new backpack. Where is it? But I
So
like
you
bags.
love
I love
luggage.
bags for everything. A specific bag for a specific tool is like my jam. Anyway, so I could see there being like, luggagefinder.com or something, which is like the luggage store. But Indiegogo is again the mall where everything funnels to, but you have your dedicated people. I just hardcore only buy luggage. That's the only one I'm going to
Hmm.
versus the people who kind of window shop more
Yep.
across the whole mall. So I now I get it. This does make sense. And then are you changing like infrastructure stuff? I don't know how deep you know
So
this, but
sure. So there's several answers. I know a lot of things. There's lots of things I don't know, and there's lots of things we don't know. I mean,
right.
there's things we're still discovering. But infrastructure-wise, on the GameFound side, nothing should really be changing, except for the fact that you can log into GameFound. Not yet, but you will be able to log into GameFound with your Indiegogo account, and vice versa.
Right.
Our goal is to make
Okay.
a barrier to access as little as possible.
Mhm.
On the Indiegogo side, it's totally going to be changing.
Right. That's what I figured.
It's going to be built on GameFound tech. It's effectively going to look like GameFound, but with Indiegogo's coloring. So fast forward 3 months from now, Indiegogo will look like GameFound, but in pink, basically. Like I keep saying, I keep trying to get this to work internally. No one's going for this marketing pitch, but I keep saying we should be doing pink goes good with green for this entire merger, and no one will go with it. But
You should do like a watermelon thing.
that would work too. That'd be great.
Yeah.
But that's what it is. It's and like when you click on a board game campaign within Indiegogo, it'll open to a new tab that will be
Yeah.
the same structure but green.
Okay. I don't know if you noticed this, but right behind you on your shelf, look behind you on your shelf, and like right next to your head, on your right hand side, that's pink and green right
Yes, it
together.
is.
It does look good together. It
They do.
does. They do.
That's the line from
Very
Wicked.
cool.
You familiar with Wicked? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, pink goes good with green.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen the movie, but yes, okay.
That's like
I'm familiar with it. I'm
saw
familiar with the musical.
Yeah. Apparently, in half my office hasn't either because no one's going for that marketing pitch. I keep trying.
Interesting. Well, I mean, is half your office in like non-English speaking countries?
Yes. Yes.
Well, that might be.
But they watch popular stuff. I can't wait for Wicked 2.
popular.
Exactly. I missed it. How did I miss that? Yeah.
I don't know, Alex. Cool. Oh, Kermit and Miss Piggy.
Exactly.
Luke is on fire.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh,
Fire.
that's 100% great.
There's some like I don't know mascots you can get.
Yeah.
Luke also said this, which made me howl. You were talking about something else, but he said having to use the GameFound website is like when someone calls instead of texting.
I think for people who want apps, that's 100% true. Because there are a lot of people who are like, yeah, of course you call. What's wrong with that? And someone else is like, why? Why are you so annoying?
Yeah, don't call, just text. Excellent. Well, we have done a whole hour of like catching up with Alex, which is wonderful and great. So we covered.
Speaking of catching up, one of the things I was supposed to do at Gen Con that I didn't get a chance to, I was supposed to go find out what the next off the page game is. But I didn't
next one?
Well, the one after the current one that was just on crowdfunding.
Okay, so the one that's after Grendel. That is a good question, and I don't know the answer, but Jay does. Okay. So you'll have to find out from Jay because it might not be one that I'm making. It might be one that he's making with somebody else.
Have you been involved in all of them so far, or not?
No.
Which ones have you done?
I've done most of them. So it is Mind Management. I did.
That's my favorite.
Harrow County, which is actually Harrah County.
Interesting.
Harrah County is not one that I did. That was done by Shad and Jay. And then I just did a lot of playtesting. And then not even a lot. Actually, I playtested it a few times. And then Core Discovery was Jay and myself. And then the one Grendel was Alara Cameron and I. So Alara and I did like Kingdom Rush 1 and 2 and a bunch of other stuff. Thanks.
Yeah.
And so I've done actually more design work than Jay has done for his company.
Cool.
Which is hilarious.
Well, yeah,
but
my rank
he's doing so much work on that, so it's great.
Mind Management is easily my favorite. Core of Discovery is a close second. Then from there, I think Grendel, and then Harrow County is good, but it's my least favorite. Which I guess you're the common denominator here.
Maybe.
No, I mean, Jay, if you're listening, it's you. It's you, Jay.
Yeah, that's right. Well, yeah, I mean, you can ask Jay what the next one is. I do know that there are beta testing is going on. It's a card game, so I'm pretty sure it's not one that he and I are working on. It's on a different design. I'm not sure who's actually working on it. It might be Graham and him.
Cool.
I have to think about it. But anyways, yes, there is another one coming out. Just in terms of diversifying the catalog, as you know, most of our games are in that like $70-$80 range, and we're then Core of Discovery, the base game was $40. We're like, yeah, that's great. And now we're trying to get some that are even lower in price point, just to diversify the whole line and make sure that Jay has stuff that he can sell at a booth, when people have already spent a lot of money on other things, and they come by, they say, well, I've already got this, your $90 game and your $70 game. What else do you got? He's got, well, another $90 game. What if you had a $20 game or a $15 game? That kind of thing. So he's looking into that.
I think it's smart. A lot of companies that have done you see Chip Theory Games has been their entire new line of Neon Knight of accessible, cheaper entry point games, starting with 20 strong. There's a lot of companies that have started to really dabble in even a big box experiences, moving to having something you can actually just get your hands on.
Yeah, it's funny, and we learned that from like Michael Mendez of Tasty Minstrel Games before it folded. His favorite game to sell was Martian Dice.
Oh, nice!
Do you remember Martian Dice?
Yeah, of course. Little small little
tube
circle.
It's tube of 12 dice. And why he loved that game is because he said, I can sell it in 5 seconds. It takes me 5 seconds to explain the game, and people just buy it because it's like $12.
Yeah,
it's probably cheaper than that way back when, right? It's like $9, and I can teach it to you in 5 seconds. And so when you think about your turnover rate at a booth, especially at a con, like if you're making $9 to $10 every minute, versus I have to spend half an hour explaining this big game that's like,
I think one of the successes of All Play at every convention is killing it. Because everything is so easy to teach, so easy to play, so easy to demo, and so easy to buy.
And it's not expensive stuff,
and
right?
Suitcase space. I mean, if you're at a con,
right.
You don't have to do the calculation, basically.
And their booth space is just beautiful. Obviously,
it's amazing.
It is lovely. I love that all the shelves push forward. It's so good, so nice, Joe. Their team is so good at that. But the other thing that is, I was just thinking about this. I should actually make like a luggage calculator for All Play games because they're exactly all the same size, right? There's like 3 box sizes now. There were only 2 once, but I think there's 3 now. But they're exact same dimensions. And I'm sure you could make a calculator that would calculate how many All Play games you could fit inside your luggage. If you could,
you should make an All Play polyomino board game and pitch it to Joe.
Very meta.
I should do that. That would be pretty funny. That'd be pretty funny. All right, everybody. Well, it is about that 10 o'clock time. So we are going to... Well, I also need to ask you, Alex, do you feel like a Bond villain right now?
Yes, 100% yes. It's not even a question.
All right, everybody. If you want to chat with me more, you can reach me at Senfeng Lim on Blue Sky. Where are you, George?
Dreyerink, we say all the things, but mostly Insta and Blue Sky.
Not X. No.
Meeple
Syrup is still on all the things. And Alex, where can you be reached?
I primarily on YouTube and Instagram, I'd say. I actually do have a Blue Sky account, but I think I migrated over when everyone was, but I don't actually use X or Blue Sky, so I'm not active on it. But
all right.
when I click on something happening, I pop over there. Okay. But I don't even know what my username is.
And if you do want to reach Alex about, BoardGameCo, there you go, Alex at BoardGameCo.com. And if you're looking for more information about Gamefound and maybe becoming a creator that uses Gamefound, or just bugging him more about, can you get this feature? He's not the tech guy, but you never know.
I talk to the tech guys.
He knows people who know people. You can reach him at a.radcliffe with an E at gamefound.com. There you go. Next week, I don't know what we're doing. Okay, so here's the thing. George has an idea. And that idea, what is your idea, George?
Have I told? Wait, is it one I've told you or something? Or?
Yeah, you told me, and you said, "Yeah, that's going to be hard, but we're going to try."
Oh no, I don't remember. I also have another idea in my head, but I doubt they're the same thing.
Okay, well, you tell me the idea in your head, and then I'll tell you the idea that you voiced out of your head.
Okay. Oh, well, the thing I was thinking of is like we every now and then we dip into talking about your background in behavioral psychology and how that influences game design, and understanding.
Great idea.
And I don't know that we've ever actually just talked about that as a topic, even though you this.
Yeah, we could.
But clearly, that's not what I said before.
No, it's not. But we have to find another behaviorist.
But what did I say before?
Okay, so this was George's. So okay, Meeps. George has been cleaning house. And when he cleaned the house, he found that he has magic cards that he didn't know he had anymore. So he was like, oh my God, magic cards. Look at this. It's a time walk. And like
It
some
wasn't.
there's some
Oh dear Lord!
it
But I
wasn't.
wish. But
But there's some cool. You have some good cards
yeah. So,
still, right? There's some money
mm,
in those cards, but also just fun cards to play with.
mm.
And so George has been on this Magic the Gathering kick lately, and he's been like, "Can we talk to like some of the really famous Magic artists, and maybe
Oh,
have
okay,
them come
yeah.
on and we talk about like art buy, and how to talk and how to communicate to artists." And we were
Yes, I
just
do.
talking about like how much money does it take to art up, one set
Mm,
of Lorcana or Magic or
mm,
whatever
mm,
CCG there is of the day, right? It's got to be a lot of money.
mm,
And then a lot of
Gotta be.
communication and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
mm.
So I said, I only know Jesper. I don't really know any of the other artists well enough to talk to them. And I think a couple of the other ones who I did know, like they're dead,
Yeah.
because that's what happens
How
when you
funny.
have a game that is like, how old is it now? It's like I played it in
32.
1994, right?
Yeah, I think 90. I think it might just be 94. I can't remember. Like, there's that 93, 94, 94, 95. Like
It's one of those
bracket
years
now.
when I
Yeah,
started.
yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, when
in the
I
90s.
actually started in beta, but then went back and got all the alphas. But anyways, because people are like, I don't like this game anymore. It's like, okay, I'll take your cards. But yeah, so if we can find some artists, that'd be good. The other person who we might want to get on might be like people like Matt Paquette, who does like art direction
Mm,
and graphic design for all sorts of companies. He's another great guy to get on about art in general and
mm.
image. And he's just started a new, well, not a new, he's just kind of bumped up his presence on a couple Facebook forums. So he might be another guy to bring
Yeah,
in
you
and
just
chat
started that
to
new
about that.
group, I believe.
Yeah, a new group, TVD, which is because of some weird,
Weird decisions.
weird decisions that happened on one of the other graphic design forums that was popular, but then they
Popular.
decided to like weirdly monetize it. So I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, that's the other idea that you had. But we can look for another person who is into behavior, and we can chat with them as well, and that would be super fun.
But
And
no,
then we
okay,
can keep on looking
cool.
for artists and stuff.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. So that may be happening within the next couple of weeks, everybody. And if you want to help keep the lights on, you can go to patreon.com/maple syrup. It's okay if you don't. We do this anyway. But if you want to help us, go there. Oh, and Alex, I'm so sorry. I forgot to warn you.
Oh
This
yeah.
is your spot where you give final advice to people.
I guess let's take it back to the beginning. Let's take it back to the very beginning, where we started here, which is everyone. Everyone's doing. Everyone. People listening to this, people playing games. Everyone's doing things for their own different reason, and I don't think you can always. I don't think you always have the opportunity to make your passion your job. And sometimes it's a bad thing to do so. Sometimes you can run the risk of losing your passion for what you do and turning into a job. But if you are someone who's trying to turn your passion into your job, there are so many ways and opportunities, and sometimes it's just about grabbing the bull by the horns and starting. It's not a guarantee. There's no guarantees in life, but if you do want to move forward, you have to move. Legion of Games is a channel that he always inspires me, Chris from Legion of Games, because he kind of just he watched a few channels rising doing COVID. There are a few channels that were growing quickly,
Mhm.
and he's like, I want to do what they're doing, and he just started doing it. And like at first, nothing happened. Like I had no ambitions when I started. I was like, I'm just gonna do this for my board. I had no real ambitions or drive or growth or all that. And I did put in the work, but I still got lucky. And like Chris just said, I'm gonna grab the bull by the horns and do this. And he started doing videos. There's another person, Devin. Devin is another person, not Devin who's been on the channel, but there's a different Devin who has his own show. Same
Mhm.
idea. He kind of started a YouTube channel to be a part of the board game space, and then that didn't work out for him. He's like, okay, I'll do other stuff instead. And he just started networking and just reaching out and being aggressive, but not in an aggressive way, but in a putting yourself in front of others, putting yourself out there. I think if you want a job in this space, first of all, make sure you actually want it, because there's
Mhm.
downsides. But I think putting yourself out there is the way to do it. And what you said, Sen, is like that's so on point. Of volunteer to be a booth person at a show and start going to shows, start making connections. There are so
Mhm.
many opportunities, but you have to open up your world to having those opportunities happen.
Right. I would say volunteering is maybe not the right way to think about it, because if you're working for a company that's a for-profit company at a show, you should be paid.
Yep.
But there are other opportunities where maybe it is a volunteer opportunity.
Oh, and
So
to be clear,
be careful.
if I used the word volunteer, I did not mean that. I meant
Yeah.
get to that that
Yeah.
place. Yes, no, absolutely. If you're at a booth, 100%, they will happily pay you. Most booths will happily pay you. And yeah, definitely good catch on that.
Yeah, and cover a whole bunch of other stuff too.
Yes.
And like team dinner, and sometimes your accommodate. Well, usually it depends your accommodations, and sometimes travel and all this stuff. So it's good. And for game designers out there, this is like my like a pro tip, right? The best thing you can possibly do for yourself, or one of the best things you can probably possibly do for yourself as a game designer, is work a con where you're teaching other people's games, because there's no pressure on you. You're not selling, you're just demoing games. You're learning how to pitch another person's game quickly, teach it in a distilled format, figuring out how do I load this deck so people get to see what's cool about my game. Or not my game, sorry, this other person's game that I'm trying to sell. And you're getting paid to do it. And it's no skin off your nose, right? So it's a really good way to become a part of the industry, to hone some skills, and to just really get a feel for what is it like to be on the other side of the table selling things. I think it will show you whether you like it or not, and whether you need to partner up with somebody else. That's cool too. All right, everybody, that is it for tonight. Thank you so much, Alex, for coming. We have been
Thanks for
planning this
having
for a couple weeks, and then Gen Con kind of got in the way. I'm so glad we got to see Calcifer.
Yes.
I'm
very
loving this.
cute.
He's not done this yet.
I mean, there you go,
I've had
right?
him for 2 days at this point, so like this is everything he does is still new.
Yeah, that's lovely. Very cute. All right, we'll see everybody later. Thanks everybody for coming. We'll talk to you in a bit.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
And we're out.